Hey friends, and welcome to this new video. Today we are diving into the world of Poppy Playtime to analyze all the information about the map of Chapter 5. We already know, thanks to the ending of Chapter 4, that we will be inside the secret laboratory, and that is a fact and already confirmed. But the big question is, will it be the only area we explore, or are there other mysterious zones waiting for us? In this video we will try to understand exactly that. We will compare it with the previous chapters and the official information released so far to try to anticipate what Mob Entertainment has in store for us. We will analyze every detail of the map, talk about the possible rooms and paths we might face, and try to figure out if there will be hidden secrets or special zones we do not expect. We will also discuss how Chapter 5 might evolve the narrative compared to the other chapters, what gameplay elements could change, and how the new areas will connect to the story of the secret laboratory. In short, today we won't just look at a map, we will try to imagine every detail, every possibility, and every surprise that might be waiting for us. Before we start, however, I want to ask you a small favor. If you enjoy videos about Poppy Playtime and want to stay updated on all the new chapters and secrets of the series, give this video a big like and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any updates and you can grow with us in discovering every mystery of the factory. Alright, let's get ready to explore the map of Chapter 5 and all the areas that await us. First of all, let's talk about the fact that the laboratory will probably not be the only area we will explore in Chapter 5, and to do this, it's useful to compare it with the previous chapters. Let's exclude Chapter 1, which was just the introductory chapter and, above all, much shorter than the others. From Chapter 2 onwards, the chapters became much longer and more complex, and consequently, the game maps expanded significantly. Each chapter, starting from Chapter 2, had a main area that acted as the core of the narrative and gameplay. To give concrete examples, in Chapter 2, the main area was the game station, in Chapter 3, it was the playcare, and in Chapter 4, it was the safe haven. However, even if there was a main area, it doesn't mean the game was limited to that single area. In Chapter 2, for example, the game station was divided into multiple sectors, each with its own map and puzzles, and we even faced mini-bosses, which added challenge and variety to the game. The same goes for Chapter 3. The playcare was organized into different sectors with distinct maps and special challenges to overcome, making each sector unique and interesting. Chapter 4, however, introduced a slightly different structure. Here, the secondary areas were not simply sectors of the safe haven, but entirely separate locations with their own characteristics and functions. I'm thinking, for example, of the prison, the mines, and other places we explored during the chapter. These environments were connected to the main story, but at the same time offered independent gameplay experiences, increasing the sense of discovery and immersion in the world of Poppy Playtime. So, if we consider this pattern and apply it to Chapter 5, it is very likely that this chapter will follow the same logic. We will probably have a central area, which we know is the secret laboratory, but it is easy to imagine that there will also be other zones to explore. These could be sectors of the laboratory itself, with distinct rooms and corridors, or completely separate areas, just like in Chapter 4. In short, Chapter 5 could offer us a large and complex map, full of environments to discover, puzzles to solve, and who knows, maybe even new mini-bosses to face. This structure would make exploration much more dynamic and faithful to the style of the previous chapters, combining the main area with intriguing and mysterious secondary zones. Now let's look at other information that could confirm that the laboratory will probably not be the only area we will explore in Chapter 5. What you are seeing is one of the official screenshots released on the Steam page, so we are not talking about a fan-made image or any speculation. This is official material, directly from the developers. Looking closely at this screenshot, we can immediately notice that it does not show a typical laboratory setting. In fact, what we see is a wide corridor, quite bright, and on the left, there is a wall decorated with a mural. The mural depicts a meadow scene, with a setting very different from the closed and mechanical environments of the laboratories the series has used so far. Even the floor on the left is green, probably to mimic the grass painted on the wall. This detail is very interesting because it suggests that the area is not meant to look like a real laboratory, but more like a kind of set, maybe for a show or a recording inside the factory. This makes one important thing clear. Chapter 5 could include areas completely different from the laboratory, with more creative and unusual settings. So, scenic environments with painted walls, special floors, and details that resemble a space designed for fun or presentation. It should be noted, however, that according to the information we have so far, this area should not be the theater that has been mentioned several times in the past. The theater was already burned in the story and appears in Project Playtime, so it will hardly be included as it is in Chapter 5. So we can imagine that this area is a new setting, specifically designed by the developers to introduce variety to the gameplay and surprise players with a context completely different from the laboratory. In short, this screenshot confirms once again that the laboratory will not be the only area to explore. At least one other zone awaits us, with a unique design and surely full of mysteries to discover, puzzles to solve, and hidden details that will make exploration even more intriguing and engaging. Another area was shown directly in the teaser trailer in shorts format dedicated to the character Experiment 1202. Even though the character himself was not shown and we only saw his shadow, we can still observe part of the surrounding scenario, which already gives us important clues about what we might find in Chapter 5. Looking at what we see, we immediately notice that the wall and the elements present have nothing to do with a laboratory. The environment is completely different from a laboratory. This scenario seems more like the back of a manufacturing area, a place dedicated to toy production and not to scientific experimentation or research. In fact, we can spot the heads of the plush toys hanging and just below, conveyor belts typical of industrial production lines. These details are very clear and make us understand that here the goal will not only be to explore or solve typical laboratory puzzles. This leads us to hypothesize that in Chapter 5 we will probably finally reach what we could call the true manufacturing area of the Playtime factory. Here all the toys are created, assembled, and prepared for distribution, and this represents a completely new feature compared to previous chapters, where the main areas were more related to laboratories, but that's not all. It is very likely that in this area we will encounter Experiment 1202. This character, of whom we have so far only seen the shadow, could represent the mini-boss of this zone, adding a level of challenge and tension completely new. Imagine exploring the conveyor belts and production lines, avoiding traps, and at the same time, facing a powerful and unpredictable enemy. This would make the area not only visually fascinating, but also extremely dynamic and intense as a gaming experience. In short, even thanks to this teaser, we can already sense that Chapter 5 will offer much more varied and complex maps compared to just the laboratory. We will have scenic areas, secondary sectors, and probably the manufacturing area with Experiment 1202 as the focal point, confirming once again that Chapter 5 will be full of surprises and new environments. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end. You are amazing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.